Hi, I'm Charlie Bros. Welcome to Disability Landscape. I'm here with my partner today, Mark Knutson. Mark, who's our guest today?
Yeah, today we have Sheri Melander-Smith, and I want to say I'm going to tell a little bit about her. First of all, she's a former model and actress. So Charlie and I are pretty jealous because she's been in front of the camera a lot more than me and Charlie. And to rub it in, she's already gotten a call from Hollywood. She's appeared in many commercials. She was in the soap opera, The Bold and the Beautiful. After her modeling and actress stuff, she went on to receive her degree in psychology out in UCLA, and then got her master's here at St. Thomas in the Twin Cities here. She's also has worked as an advocate in Minnesota and nationally since a failed back surgery left her paralyzed with nerve damage in both legs and a couple other things. In 2018, she was crowned Miss Wheelchair America. And now just recently, I think in the last couple of weeks, her newly published memoir called A Model of Courage was just recently released. So welcome to the show, Sheri. And did I get everything? Hopefully I didn't forget anything.
You did a great job. Thank you. You did wonderfully. Thank you for inviting me on the show. I'm really excited to be here today to talk about my life story as it relates to disability and to show you all my recently published memoir titled The Model of Courage. So thank you.
Yeah, why don't we, no, go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, Sheri, why don't we start off with the book,
Okay.
Model of Courage. What was the inspiration behind starting this book?
So here's the cover. That's actually a photograph of me when I was 19 and modeling in Japan. So the inspiration of the inspiration behind this book was that I wanted to have a platform to share my full story because a lot of people don't know that I was born with a disability. I had something called Klippel-Trenaunay-Weber syndrome, and that caused one of my legs to grow longer than the other. And the book goes through my whole journey of having a disability as a child and what that was like. And things like attending school and what it was like to relate to my siblings who were able-bodied, and then having a surgery to correct the leg differences, and my legs eventually grew even, and then that started the whole journey of my modeling and international traveling. And then of course at the end of the story I face again life with a disability. So I really just wanted to get my message across of hope and tell the story of disability from someone who's experienced it.
Okay. And then how did you come to the decision? I mean, what brought you to thinking to write your memoir?
You know what's really funny is I always have thought someday I'm going to write a book. I mean, I guess maybe we all have that idea in our heads,
right? Exactly. Me and Charlie have that same, yeah. So we're just doing a TV show instead. It's easier.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me tell you, yeah, right, exactly. Writing a book is not a simple process. I think I started this project 7 years ago. Wow. And yeah, so on and off I've contributed to it. And then in the last 2 years, I've been working very stringently on it. And yeah, so I've always kind of known I wanted to write a book. And so that's the fulfillment of that childhood dream, I guess. Yeah. So I'm happy with the final product too.
Cool.
So who's the intended audience for this book? Who do you want to reach with your story?
So at the end of the book, I want to read this because that's very pertinent to the question. At the end of the book, I describe exactly who I wrote this book for. Okay. I dedicate it to my son, Oliver Smith, who's serving our military in the United States Navy. So I dedicate my book to my beloved son. But so this book is to everyone experiencing disability, rejection, unacceptance, fear, abuse, or loss. I wrote this book for you. May God's glorious love and light shine upon you and give you the strength that you may find your better day. Never give up hope. Never, ever give up.
Yeah.
So I wrote it so
Oh, no, please go ahead.
I mean, it's a story that anybody can relate to, right? I mean,
Right,
life
exactly,
is
yep.
for anybody.
Yeah, and then just to, to get a better sense also, because you said that you were born with the disability. It's one I have not heard of before, so even if I remember the name, I probably couldn't pronounce it to begin with. But you said, okay, the one leg was shorter than the other. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Sheri?
that's correct. Yeah, one leg grew longer than the other by about, I don't know, 3 inches or so.
So
By the time I was 6.
Yeah,
years
what
old.
challenges did you have then? That would be, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So the doctors at the time didn't have a name of the diagnosis, but the challenges were that I, to correct the difference so I could walk, I had a built-up shoe
Oh,
for
right, yeah,
shorter
that-
leg. And so that made it really, it was heavy and very cumbersome, and it stood out. Like I stood out, and because I stood out in what was not perceived as a positive way, for young children
yep.
in grade school, it was something that I felt shame for, and I felt that something was wrong with me because I was different. Like I was different and unequal to others.
Certainly.
And so that shame mindset carried with me even after my legs grew even, after my surgery, and they grew even. It took a lot of self-growth to kind of come to terms with the fact that I was made, I was made this way. I was purposely made this way. And so, and diversity in all things is necessary and beautiful.
Yeah. And then what school? I assume you probably went to your local schools then?
Yeah, I grew up in a town called Fridley.
Oh, Fridley, yeah.
Fridley.
Fridley, yes, we're all familiar. And so, yeah, realizing that you were different, as a small child, that is very difficult to kind of overcome, and I can see the struggle you deal with there. And then you had the leg correction, but later on you had I want to call it AVM, which was.
That's correct.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
So it's an artery and vascular malformation that I was born with it, but it didn't show up until later in life. Okay. So it was all part of the same condition. I just didn't know that this more significant disability lay ahead, right? So it first ruptured at 25. The blood vessel ruptured, and it was attached to my spinal cord at T12. My dad died in the morning, and from the stress of that, I had a spinal cord hemorrhage, similar to a stroke.
That's definitely a tough day.
Yeah, that was a bad day. That was a very bad day.
And that's from that time you've been in a wheelchair then, is that correct?
No, actually at 25, I was still, like right before I had that incident where my spinal cord ruptured, the vascular malformation ruptured. I was still doing television commercials and modeling, and I was dating a European prince.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so my life was really quite different. But then I had when my dad died and I had this injury to my body, I completely changed who I was. It changed my outlook. And then eventually I was able to overcome, through therapies, I was able to walk again, but I was never the same internally. Like I had changed so much because I realized how short life is, and, and how fragile my own body is. And I just wanted to make the most of the time that I had left or have left, and wanted to live a more purpose-filled life. So I was walking and looked the same, but I was dramatically different internally. So that's when I decided to go to school and get my degrees.
And then when did you start using a wheelchair then?
So after my first injury, I went to school, got my BA degree in psychology from UCLA, as you said. And in 1 year, I got married, moved to Minnesota, had a baby. And then another year later, I got divorced. But then I began working in a career at Hennepin County, helping kids with physical disabilities through a special piloted program that they had there. And then later working in the health special needs basic care health plan at Metropolitan Healthcare. So, so I started losing my balance and tripping when I was about 38. So, it's like I kind of like had this disability, and then I sort of overcame it, again, and just like got back to the swing of things and was working and happy raising my son. And but then I started tripping and losing my balance, and that's not normal.
No.
So, yeah, that's not like something that was kind of a warning sign that something was neurologically not right. So I went to see my doctor, and he told me that the malformation had reformed and was pressing against my spinal cord.
Okay.
So so he gave me 3 choices. One was to leave it alone with the possibility of it rupturing and causing more damage, which, take that as you might think it might be. And then, and then leave it alone, embolize it, and then have it surgically removed. So I decided to have it surgically removed by like this world expert, supposedly. And he told me, supposedly, right? So he told me that there was only a 2% chance that anything could go wrong. And when I woke up from the surgery, I couldn't move either leg. So
you got the 2%.
I am the 2%. Too bad I didn't play the lottery.
Right. Really is. So you haven't gone to a casino since then?
No, I should. I have good beginner's luck, I guess.
Yeah.
So I was.
Not the winning percentage you want, I'm afraid, but
exactly.
So since that surgery, you've been a wheelchair user, and in there, was that when the advocacy started, and how do you advocate for other people?
Can you repeat the first part of the question?
Well, when the after the surgery and you became a wheelchair user, yes. Is that when you started being more of an advocate for other people?
Well, not initially. It took a long time, primarily because the first year or two, I was in so much pain. I was literally wrapped up in a ball on my bed, like unable to move. It was really, because it was on the nerve roots, it was like, and I developed something called arachnoiditis, which is when your spinal cord becomes inflamed. Ooh. So I was in so much pain that I couldn't move. And then after that, you go through the grieving process and all of that. So about 4 years later or 5 years later is when I stared advocating.
Okay. Because so with your life, you've had these changes, with the different surgeries, and then you end up in a wheelchair. So you've had to like readjust 3 or 4 times where, most people who have an accident, it happens then, they've got this new life, and, but you've been having to, not trying to make it sound funny, but it's just kind of interesting where you've had these points where you've had to not only physically readjust, but psychologically readjust to your new life.
Yeah. And it's a complicated thing, Mark, because it's like, makes you think like, well, who am I,
Yeah.
And so I don't have an answer to that, but I do think that, that I will walk again. And I said that right from the beginning. There's a lot of research going on with nerve I don't have a proper spinal cord injury. I have nerve damage.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
so that helps the situation a little, but I think that there's going to be nerve regeneration therapies that are going to develop. And
Okay.
I just hold that in my heart. And let's say it's not true, right? And I don't walk again. What's wrong with believing that I will? I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly, yeah.
Well,
yeah. So I've held that.
so your injury then, you're considered then like a incomplete paraplegic. Is that
Right. Yeah.
the terminology for it?
Yep. Incomplete paraplegic. Yeah. But
Okay.
most people assume that it's from a spinal cord injury. You can also have
Right.
nerve damage and other things that
Sure.
would cause that. So
Certainly. Let's kind of switch gears here. How did you get interested or involved in, well, obviously you started with the Ms. Minnesota wheelchair pageant, and then, you brought that to the national stage. How did you get involved with the pageants?
I've never been a big pageant proponent. I just thought that these
Yeah.
this and the overly made up and
Yeah,
hair all done perfect. But so I never did enter a pageant when I was I had a friend who was running for a Miss Minnesota, and I remember Ahmad Rashad was there as one of the judges, and he goes, "Are you one of the contestants?" I'm like, "No, I'm just here to help my friend." He's like, "You should enter him." Not for me. No. So it was not something I ever really envisioned for myself. But Miss Wheelchair America is an advocacy program, so they pick their candidate based on her ability to represent the different types of disabilities there are, and her ability to communicate and speak for disability rights, and her ability to make a difference through social media and traveling and meeting different people. And so that's what intrigued me. So I won the Minnesota Miss Wheelchair Minnesota, and then entered the competition.
When did you win Minnesota? What year was
So that
it?
was 2017.
Okay.
And then early 2018, I won the Miss Wheelchair America pageant. And
Gotcha. Okay.
so because of that, I got to travel all over the country, meeting people, giving presentations, speaking publicly on what life is like with a
Feel free
disability.
to rub it in. Where did you travel? Go ahead. You've already been on TV. Go ahead.
Well, I've been, so during my reign, I traveled, of course, to the local states like Wisconsin and Iowa and places like that. That's easy, right? You just drive there.
That's
Chicago, I drove to
nothing
Chicago.
against them, but that doesn't impress us.
Yeah, it doesn't count the good spots. So I went to.
I'll go with the good stuff. Now go with the good stuff, Sheri.
So I went to New York City.
Okay.
And then I went to Key West, which was awesome. And then I went to New Orleans. I've never been there.
Well, that would be fun.
Los
Maybe
Angeles.
not this time of the year, hurricanes, but.
Yeah, that's true. And then lastly, the biggest place that I went to was Hawaii. I mean, I really enjoyed, I went to Honolulu and got to visit the children, pardon me, went to visit the Children's Hospital there. And it was really wonderful. And do some other public speaking at a rehabilitation hospital, nursing home. So it was a great trip. It was a great year. Like I really enjoyed the year and the impact that I was able to make. So it was a good experience.
How much with being Miss Wheelchair America, how much publicity comes to the to you and to that pageant and that?
Well, after I won, I a lot of people seek you out for interviews and news interviews and newspaper articles, and it also gives you an opportunity to just to reach out to other people. Like you can call somebody and say, "Hello, this is Miss Wheelchair America," and it sort of opens doors for you that I guess may not have been open otherwise. And so I tried to make the most of that and representing people with disabilities. And I feel like after it's all said and done, I feel like I did a good job. Like, I don't think I could have done anything differently or better. So I'm happy with that experience.
So
But,
no regret, no regrets, huh?
yeah, I'm glad it's over though, because it was a lot of work and a lot of travel, and it was exhausting. So,
and now you can knock off your list. You've been on Disability Channel Minnesota.
I've been waiting for this moment. Yay! Woo!
So,
Another dream accomplished.
Exactly.
I love it.
Sheri, we got to thank you. We're almost out of time here, but it's been great talking to you. Before we go, where can our viewers find your book?
So it's available. Let me show the cover again. It's available on Amazon, and it's called A Model of Courage by Sheri, it's backwards, Sheri Melander, Melander. So if you go to Amazon, just go under books and then type in A Model of Courage, and then you'll see the cover there. So
Excellent. Mark?
super excited about that.
And then when we put the interview up, we can put the link to your
I would
book.
love that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you
Yes,
very
well-
much. I appreciate that.
We'll certainly let our viewers know where to find it. Mark,
Thank
any
you.
parting words?
You know, the one last thing is just something. I live in Jordan, so and my
Oh.
son played basketball, so we've been to Waconia because I think that's where you live, and now I remember seeing your son playing. Or
You do?
well, yeah, because my son When did your son graduate?
He graduated in 2015.
Okay, my son was 2016, so
Oh,
and he
wow.
played basketball too. So
He did? What's your son's first name?
well, his name is Kyle. He played for Jordan. I think
Oh, right.
it was a non-conference game. We didn't play one another, each year type thing.
Right.
But I remember coming to Waconia for other basketball things. That's a little bit of a tie-in you and I have too.
Yeah. So my son is, looking at him, you would guess he played basketball. He's 6'9.5".
Yes, I saw. I've seen the picture. Yeah. My son is about 6'3".
Yeah. Awesome.
Your son is more of a center type thing.
Yeah. He's a tall guy.
At your son's height, I'm guessing he's not in a submarine.
That's right. No, he's too tall to be in a submarine. He actually, when he had to do a short little stint on a submarine, and he couldn't fit in the bed because they're really small. So he slept on the floor, poor guy. But now, after graduating from the Naval Academy, he's an officer. So on the ship now, he'll get his own little cabin. So I'm proud of
very
him.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Sheri. It was great to see you again and talk with you.
Same. It was wonderful. Thank you for the experience. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much.
I'm Charlie Brose. He's Mark Knudsen. And you've been watching Disability Landscape with our special guest, Sheri Melander. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you next time.